So here's the, let me change this real quick. So here's the deal. You go to the... You go to the DMC5 wiki, and you look at what the what it says about exceed. It says that it is a 6-frame timing. The timing is less strict than it was in 4, allowing the player to get EX acts and max acts more consistently. Max acts appears to be a 6-frame window 1/10 of a second, rather than frame perfect as before. Okay? I and several friends, or actually a friend was going through the game and said there's no goddamn way it's 6 frames. There's no way. There's no way it's 6 frames. And I agree with them. So, what I did was, I went into my macro creator from Logitech, and I set up a macro that is specific to this number of time. This is 250 milliseconds. I'm currently running the game at 60 FPS locked, which means that it's 59.59 59.95 frame rate, which if you count 15 frames, which is how much it takes to get Exceed off his very first slash, his regular slash, it's 15 frames from then until the max Exceed frame window. And that's 250 milliseconds, about 250.2. And so what I have here is that I wrote a macro. Basically, if I click the macro, it'll hit Exceed 250 milliseconds later. So I will show it real quick. Max Exceed. Get them out of here. Give me a second. It has to be completely from neutral. Max Exceed. Max Exceed. And then Max Exceed. I think it has something to do with when in the frame I hit it, due to hardware delay as well as just an input delay from my mouse. But I can get max Exceed using this macro 90% of the time. Okay? So far, so good. Max Exceed. So all I'm doing is hitting this macro. Let us go into this macro and change it by 15 milliseconds. Or 16.67 milliseconds, which is going to round up to 17 and make this 233. Okay? Now, if this was a 6-frame window, before or after, we'll find out. If it's a 6-frame window, it should max Exceed no matter what. Right? Nothing. 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 Okay. Now, what will sometimes happen is I'll still get max Exceed due to what I mentioned earlier about the delay. Basically, if I'm at the very end of a frame and the amount of time it takes for me to hit the button here is super late in the frame, I think, this is my theory as to why sometimes it still max Exceeds, is that sometimes it lands in the later frame. Because I'm doing rounding on a lot of this. 17 frames, rounding, and 250.2 instead of 250. I'm putting 250 here instead of 250.2. I don't know if this takes decimals. But what you're seeing here is that 17 milliseconds is enough for it to almost never get max Exceed. Now, what if it's the later frame, right? So let's do 267. 1 max Exceed. Or sorry, 1 Exceed. 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 Only 1. The entire time it's just 1. If I set this back to 250, so we've explored 1 frame after and 1 frame before. Both times we do not get max Exceed. 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 Okay. That one was not max exceed, but... Yeah, this method isn't 100% perfect. I think if they're on the floor also, it like never lands for some reason. But regardless, I think this adequately proves that it's a one-frame window. The fact that it's sometimes messing up means it's even more tight. It's even more tight than we had initially assumed. I think it's ridiculous to say this is a 6-frame window when I can't even get this software to do it 100% of the time based on how late into a frame it comes out. Like... Yeah. One last time. It should almost always be one seed. And then back to 33. This should almost never be max exceed. It should be the early timing, which is get half a charge, or like however much it is. One last time. And just to show what the devs have said about this. I'm not hitting the macro on the follow-up buttons, I'm just clearing the exceeds. Every 15 milliseconds, that's the window.